Okay, so yesterday, 49ers win 21-13 over the Seattle Seahawks. Brock Purdy, he did what he's been doing this whole time. 17-26, 217, 2 touchdowns over the Seahawks. Geno, 31-44, 238 and a touchdown. See, the Seahawks, reign was nice. It was fun to see a team that you didn't expect to compete like they have this year. But now they're 7-7, not going to make the playoffs. They're rightfully where they are. It was nice to see them have the start they did, but they're in the right spot now.
Yeah, quite honestly, I mean, they're still a decent team, right? They're not bottom of the pack. They're not top of the pack. They're they're a median team, and I think it's because they actually have tape on them now. So
yeah.
it's easy to see what their issues are, and they have a lot of rookies starting from them. I mean, they have 2 rookie corners. I mean, the rookies are outperforming what anybody thought they could. So they're well coached. Going forward, I like this team in the coming years. But obviously, they're just not going to do anything this year.
And I like the word you just said, outperforming. And that's exactly what Brock Purdy has done for what he was expected to do. He's done what this 49er offense asked him to do. Now it begs the question, what do you do with the quarterbacks that you have on the roster? Joe, they have Brock Purdy, they have Jimmy G, and they have Trey Lance. What do they do now?
Well, I mean, I've been seeing all around Twitter, Instagram, NFL, that Jimmy G's probably going to get traded next year. And I've seen a lot of people say the Jets. I can see maybe the Texans as like maybe a backup to if they take C.J. Stroud, first overall pick. But, I still think Trey Lance is going to be that starting quarterback next year. I think Purdy, with what he's brought to the table these past few games, it proves that he could play, but I think they're still going to be Trey Lance's team.
Yeah, they invested so much into Trey Lance. You give up 3 first-round picks to move up and go get him. And he's just so incredibly different from what they have. Jimmy G, he's going to facilitate her. But Brock Purdy's done exactly the same thing just as well. He's gotten the ball out to the playmakers quickly, efficiently. Another game with no interceptions. Another game only being sacked 1 time. He's living between 200 and 250 yards, and they're just continuing to win.
Yeah, man, they're doing good. I mean, and that is probably like the only system where you can actually be in and almost place any quarterback in it. Now, he is overdoing what we thought, like outperforming what we thought he was going to do. When he faced pressure against the Dolphins, for instance, his very first live action this year, the Dolphins put all-out pressure on him, and he didn't get phased. He got it to his screens. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a screen game. Okay, well, that's any quarterback that's in that system. Not many of them are throwing downfield, and the downfield throws that he's asked to do, he's actually throwing them well. We saw, and he's just doing what he's asked to do. He's not really doing anything outrageous. He's not asked to lead a comeback, but he's asked to sustain drives, which he's doing. He's asked to get the lead, which he's done.
I think this is more telling of Jimmy G than it is either Brock or Trey Lance. Because Trey Lance, we know, he's all potential with Trey Lance. God knows where he lies. Is he going to be Josh Allen or is he going to be Zach Wilson? Where is he going? Sorry, we have a Jets fan. I had to poke him a little bit there. We have a Jets fan. But where is Trey Lance going to lie in that? We don't know. But with Jimmy G, you know what Jimmy G is as a quarterback. Is a facilitator. He's going to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Game manager, exactly. And when you have Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and now CMC to that mix, he's going to look like a good quarterback. But then you have Brock Purdy, last pick of the draft, come in and do the exact same job. What is Jimmy G going to look like on another team?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you, but I think the way that Brock Purdy has played, it kind of resembles Jimmy G. It's like you said,
almost exactly the same.
Game management, not the deep ball pass every single time. Because, the Kyle Shanahan offense is always that play action, short passes, over the middle, just break the defense down closer to the quarterback than you have a wide open person over the middle of the field. But I couldn't see Jimmy G doing what he does on a different team. I really couldn't.
It'd require a very good offensive system because he's not a creator. He's not athletic. I think all three of us can at least agree with this. He's like a worse version of Tua. Because Tua does have a little bit of ability. Immediately looks at the Jets fan for approval. Tua at least can get out of the pocket a little bit. And even we disagree on the extent of Tua. But Jimmy G's not going to do that. He's going to sit there. And if you keep Jimmy G clean, he's going to have a good game.
Yeah.
He's going to have a 17-26, 217, 2 touchdowns, 117 passer rating game. That's exactly what Jimmy G would have done last night. So is there even a scenario out there where Jimmy G can replicate the success on a team that's going to be looking for a quarterback next year?
Replicate? No. But I think he can still do very well. I actually liked what he said about the Texans. Going forward, the Texans have a good offensive line. They have a good running back. Their offensive line gets a lot of penalties. So that's on coaching more than anything. They have a good offensive line. They have star receivers there, Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins. They have Mechie if he is able to beat cancer. Let's go, Mechie. I believe in you, bro. Jacob was doing the same thing. Kind of. But yeah, so they have the weapons there, and their defensive line sucks. Their linebackers suck. But they have a good secondary. They have a decent secondary, especially with Stingley there. And so I think if they're able to get a good coach, maybe Flores. Who knows?
Ain't no way you're really saying the Texans are going to be a good offense next year for Jimmy G. Jimmy G needs so much to go right, and you're saying the Texans?
I'm saying if they get a good coach, Eric Bieniemy. There's a lot of good coaches out there right now. There's a lot of good potential coaches for that team. Brian Flores can bring that team back to succession. Now, he can learn from his offensive woes he had in Miami. We know that.
He can learn, but he didn't.
I mean,
he's more just defensive coordinator.
He's a very good defensive coordinator. What I would have to say about what you're saying is you can make that argument about almost every team in the league because look at the plethora of talent at the skill positions in the league. Look at the Commanders. Now, they're obviously overachieving than what we thought they'd be doing. We thought they'd be like a 500 or below football team. They're a 7-5-1, 7-4-1, whatever it is, football team. They have 3 great wide receivers there. Their offensive line, it got a little weaker by losing Brandon Sheriff, but you just look at that team. You can look at, I was going to say the Giants, but they definitely don't have good weapons. But there's teams around the league that could be shopping for a quarterback. The Jets.
I like Mike White, actually.
But the thing is, they could be looking for a quarterback. It's not that they are, it's that they could be. I think realistically, that's something we'll talk about when we get to the Jets video. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is a real big possibility for the Jets.
I've heard that he's on their trade target.
I think it makes a lot of sense. But for Jimmy G, I just don't know what this brings from him other than him just being a backup quarterback from this point out.
I have a question for you, too. If I've been hearing that since the 49ers possibly won their division, do you think Brock Purdy just plays the rest of the playoffs? Or do you think Jimmy G is going to come in and play?
No, I think Brock Purdy, as long as he keeps winning, he's doing the exact same thing that Jimmy G is doing. So if they're defeating the Buccaneers by, 40 points? Yeah, if they're beating Seattle in Seattle, Seattle's had a very good season. They have belief. If they goes and beats the Dolphins, why take him out of the ballgame? He's doing everything Jimmy G would do anyways. The team believes in him. He has a little bit of swagger to him. Like, at the end of the game, when they're going to kill the clock out, it wasn't anything that was, obvious and stood out on camera, but you can just see it in the eyes. He believed in himself to go out there and just hit these wide-open targets. So why would you then take him out of the game? He's 3-0. Let's just look ahead at the 49ers schedule because they've already beaten a few good teams now. The rest of the way out, he's playing the Commanders. That's a winnable game. The Raiders, they should definitely win. And they're playing the Cardinals, which they're going to have Colt McCoy for the rest of the season. So I think they're going to win out from this point on. So why would you bench an undefeated Brock Purdy?
Yeah, you're not going to bench an undefeated Brock Purdy. Especially since I think actually Purdy might be better than Jimmy G. Just for the mere fact that...
I don't know if I go that far.
For the mere fact that under pressure, he didn't really get phased like you would normally see a rookie do. Now, you don't know if that's going to continue into the playoffs. It is the regular season. He has nothing to lose right now. But going into the playoffs, that's a lot of pressure on a young quarterback. Who knows how you perform under those playoff atmospheres?
That's a fair point.
True. You got Dallas with a great defense coming in. You also got Philly with a good defense. How is he going to perform against 2 probably top 5 defenses in the league right now?
No, those are definitely good points to make.
Miami... I know you guys always had a good defense. This year isn't down there, especially with
we did hit him though
with your boy Byron. Yeah. He got that pass off though to Kittle. That was a good pass.
He looks good. He's looked good under pressure so far. I just have a hard time looking at and saying if he is undefeated by the time the playoffs roll around, and let's say Jimmy G's ready to go by the second round because they're not getting the first seed. The Eagles are taking the bye. They're probably gonna beat they're gonna beat probably the Commanders in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So then you're rolling. He's then 7-0, 8-0 at that point.
I think they play.
Yeah, and they actually said that Jimmy G, the earliest possibility of him coming back is the Super Bowl. So I think.
Then no way.
Yeah, there's no way that if Purdy has led you to the Super Bowl, you're going to stick with him there. Now, I think at that point, if you're in the Super Bowl and he's struggling, then maybe you bring Jimmy G in.
Yes.
But it's still good to have Jimmy G coming back for the Super Bowl in case that happens because he's been there before.
And that's such a big what if in the first place. Like, what if they get to the Super Bowl? What if Brock Purdy plays well?
Think about the gauntlet they have to go through.
Yeah.
Gauntlet?
It's just really two
Cowboys and Eagles are a
Eagles.
gauntlet.
Okay.
Right
I just think those are the only.
Look
two
at the
teams.
AFC playoffs. I mean,
that's a gauntlet.
The seventh seed's probably about to be the Chargers, Dolphins, Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs, Bills. Like, that's incredible. Titans. Like, everybody else, like, everyone else is
Titans
solid.
have their moments.
Oh, okay.
They're either
Ryan Tannehill.
Spot the Tannehill supporter in the room.
Bro,
I did say
he's right there.
I did say last year I thought Tannehill was going to have a dark horse MVP, and a little bit this year. But then I saw.
Why would you say that?
No, but that's before they traded AJ Brown.
I mean, he's done really well for his lack of weapons. For his lack of weapons.
Spare me.
Just tell me what quarterback is going into that system right now and succeeding like he has.
Spare me. One guy. We talked about him briefly here, but we didn't. I don't think we talked about him enough because there are some people legitimately questioning what happens next year. And is Trey Lance? Is he guaranteed, as long as he's healthy, to start Game 1 next year? Is there any arguments to be made for either Jimmy G staying or Brock Purdy? Are we all in agreeing that no way Trey Lance is starting no matter what?
I think Brock Purdy has shown through the 3 games that he can play. And I think through the playoffs, if he does well, he can definitely get that starting job.
I think the only way he actually starts the next year is if he wins the Super Bowl.
Honestly, I don't even know if then, because just by the mere fact they gave up 3 first-round picks, I think
that's the reason I said that's his only chance to start next year.
I guess I see the point. I think, but this is it's Trey Lance's job.
It is.
He's got so much upside. You invested all those picks in him.
Very raw. We haven't seen
it's
him.
it's a big build now.
We've also seen. Look how much the Eagles invested into Carson Wentz, and then they went out and drafted Jalen Hurts second round. And I actually said
that was after 5 years.
By the way, guys, I will continue to say this. I at one point said I would rather have draft Jalen Hurts in the second round than draft Tua in the first. I have said that. Now, given I still love my Tua, I'm Tua-non all the way.
He very much is, very unreasonably so. It's going to be Trey Lance's job no matter what, but it is very impressive what the 49ers have done with Brock Purdy now defeating Seahawks on Thursday Night Football 21-13.